So, welcome back to Library Nocturne. It is actually in the nighttime, so very true to form this time. Because I just finished watching the 5th episode of The Penguin, which I have to say for me was a bit of a sleeper hit, in the sense of I was a little sleep on it, mostly because I was like, girl, The Penguin, this Colin Farrell, this phase, like it, it's gritty, it's dark, it's really grimy. I like the Batman, I like the new one with Robert Pattinson, and I thought it was really interesting that out of every character and every angle that they were going to pursue, that it ended up being the Penguin. So, I was a little Squidward sleep on it at first, but I definitely have changed my mind, because now I'm kind of like watching it every week. I'm part of those viewership numbers that it went up every week for sure. And I think for me, because the sleeper of the show is SOFIA GIGANTE, FKA Falcone. Okay. And I feel like she's really what, she gives a really good anchor and a good, and I think even that, like, just starting to think about it, like, I don't even know whether or not to call her an antagonist or protagonist or whatever, like, obviously it's the Penguin, it's about him, but so much plot happens because of him. So in the truest sense of the word, like, he is the antagonist in the fact that he drives the plot. Literally the whole thing pops off because of him, you know what I'm saying, killing Alberto Falcone. Like, the whole reason, the whole thing that put this, everything that has actually gone on since the show has started has been because of him. So I think it is really good. Really good. That's so like lame to say. I think it's really fascinating, just trying to explore like what that means. Just in the sense of like, let me just pause this. Okay, so I just wanted to do a little research on antagonist, because it is typically that in a story the protagonist is like the hero, usually on the side of quote unquote good, and the antagonist is usually the villain on the side of quote unquote evil, bad, whatever. And what I think is so interesting about this is that we're presented with a protagonist who, is really evil. When you get right down to it, it doesn't matter how friendly or how much you maybe start to feel like you're rooting for him. At the end of the day, Oswald Cobblepot is a villain. Okay, like, he's evil, he has no remorse for his actions, he's a liar pathologically at this point, to the point where it's clear he believes his own hype. He's a murderer. We found out that he sold out Sophia, and really he is the reason why she was in, like, yes, Carmine sent her and whatever, but if it would not have been for Oswald going to him and saying, hey, this is what's going on, like, that wouldn't have happened, right? Like, I don't think Carmine would have known. He might have found out, but it wouldn't have been because he had a direct report out, you know what I mean? And I feel like the direct report out, because whatever Oz said really had Carmine like spun out. He crashed Sophia, And then she was in Arkham for 10 years. You know what I mean? So it's like just for him to be able to get a little leg up, truly a little leg up, that I'm not even trying to be punny, but so serious, because it didn't necessarily change his social standing. Like, he may have gotten a car and he got a little money and he can run some stuff at the club, but at the end of the day, it's very clear that nobody in that family actually respects his opinion as like a member of the capital F family. So it didn't actually move him up. It just gave him more like lateral leeway, I feel like. Like, now he don't gotta be a driver no more, but he's his own driver. He's driving his own car. He don't got a driver. You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't really change that much for him. He didn't become a Falcone or anything like that. So or like restore this glory, because in typical stories, the Cobblepot family was a noble family in Gotham, and then they had whatever troubles. I think in the canon, it's a similar story. So I guess in that way, they really took it and remixed it. That what actually happened to the Cobblepot family was that Bruce Wayne's father, Thomas Wayne, was complicit in having Oswald's mom committed to Arkham. I think that was how it went. There's this game. What is it called? It's like Batman something. It's like on the Switch and it's on the phone and stuff like that. But it really revealed like this wasn't just happenstance, and Thomas Wayne wasn't this just like 100% do-gooder, you know what I mean, morally upstanding guy that he's typically painted as, especially in Bruce's memories. So I like how they twisted it so that really Oz sent Sophia to Arkham, but also like the Cobblepot family in this iteration never had anything. Like, they was really trying to start from the bottom and come up. So I like that. But he's not a good guy, which is the point. Let me get back to the point. Point is, he's not a good guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just does morally reprehensible things that really have you like, oh my God, I can't believe you just like did that. Like, at the beginning, and he's like impulsive, right? He does these impulsive things, and then he tries to backwards formulate a plan on how it's about to make him be on top. Now he about to be the top of the Gotham drug trade, and like, there is never a thought out, practical, like, implemented strategy. It's always like his emotional impulses that he then tries to logically work his way back into how it could like benefit him. He's really delusional. Let's say that. He's really delusional. He really believes what he's saying. He's able to spin a web around people, but obviously that is like failing. Everybody's like, girl, you're a fucking liar. Like, you're lying. You lie so much, you starting to believe your own hype. So I think it's interesting because then we have Sophia, which they weren't, they couldn't, to me, really like advertise her or anything. Like, she wasn't in the movie, obviously, because she was still in Arkham, but introducing her in the first episode, it had me like, oh, like you could see kind of like the wildness in her, and I really appreciated that. And just her no nonsense, like, she's very perceptive. Like, there's not very much that like she kind of knew that Oz was up to something, and she rightfully had suspected him from the beginning, right? So to me, she is more of a morally upstanding, if we're going to say quote unquote, right? We live in a world of gray and gray, whatever. But to me, Sophia is a real feminist icon at this point because, she really went through like a Persephone journey. You know, she was a maiden. She felt like something was wrong. You know, Bluebeard, she kind of heard the scratches on the door, but you know, it was really once Summer Gleason, also RIP, because now Summer Gleason, you know, I was like, whoa, gagged. Usually the reporters make it out in Gotham, but not that one. So RIP to her. But when she actually met with Summer Gleason, you know, she kind of like the wheels started to turn in her mind. She ultimately shut it down. And I mean, it sucks because to me it's like, well, she didn't even actually do, you know, she wasn't even actually per se taking the bait and pursuing this against her father. So for her to get hemmed up was like, damn, you know, she really did tell that woman she could go kick rocks, you know. So yeah, I think that like Sophia's journey, you know, then she's coming out and then she, you know, is trying to reintegrate back into society, back into her family, and like people have really believed this hangman thing about her, and so everybody's like not even trying to touch her with a 10-foot pole. But you can see she's just like trying to reacclimate to society. And you know, I was reading some article after the last episode. Spoiler alert for anybody who has not seen it. I'm about to give some major spoilers. You got like 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so in the last episode 4, when she kills the whole family, someone was like, well, if she killed the family, how do we know she really didn't kill the girls? And I was like, now this is a reach. Like, this is a big reach. I think it's very clear to me. I mean, anybody could say, oh, well, narratively, I don't think she's unreliable at all. She didn't do it, obviously. Like, are we really going to try to twist her pretty much removing all of her I don't want to just say opposition because that makes it sound too trivial, but like when they really reveal like not only did her father do this, she was being framed, everybody in the family signed affidavits basically corroborating that she did it, knowing full well that she didn't do it. So they got to like lock up what they felt like was a blight on the Falcone family and then go on about their merry way and their furs and their diamond. And then, you know, when she get out, they want to fake Kiki while they're still looking at her crazy and treating her like she's crazy. And maybe she is, but going to Arkham on false charges will do that to you. So I'm not, you know, it's not even like something that's bad to me or like needs to be held against her or even automatically makes her untrustworthy or unreliable narrator. Like, to me, because of that experience, she actually has her head on like the most straight out of anybody, because she knows it's not just about the shoot 'em up bang bang. There's a real like cost that she couldn't like avoid. Maybe to me, like, there's an issue of the like the masculine, I don't want to just say masculine versus feminine, but truly like man versus woman of it all, where like the men, they're out, they're laughing, haha, and they chop it up with each other, bang bang, they crashing cars, but really she was locked down in Arkham. You know what I'm saying? Like, not even just like in jail, but like in Arkham, being treated crazy, you know, very historically relevant to how women were treated when they were viewed as untamable or wild or inappropriate or just like not fitting into society standards of what a woman should be. Any woman could be Sofia Gigante is like the point of her story, in my opinion. And so trying to assume that just because she had some revenge, just a little treat, that doesn't to me mean, oh well, maybe she actually killed them girls too. Like, be so for real, you know what I'm saying? So I think for me, to me, she's not the protagonist in the sense, I mean, the show's like named The Penguin, but we do follow her in a way that indicates that she is like a main character, and we do follow her journey, and we get inside of her like mental state more than typically, to me, you would an antagonist in any sense, you know, like really seeing her journey in Arkham, to Arkham, before Arkham, post Arkham. Like, there's not necessarily any stone unturned about like her psychological motivations and like her emotional state, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we really spend time with her as a character separate of anybody else. So to me, it's a little unclear, or I feel like they could both be protagonists, both be antagonists in a way. So I really like the structure of that, and I feel like she is a really good counterpoint to Oz, because she was born into it, and she was still, you know, which to me, she still got screwed over. Which to me, for Oz, is like, okay, well, you see what they'll do to their own daughter. So why do you think you, an outsider, you know, being like the Penguin, and, you know, how disability is treated in these narratives? I think it was a really conscious decision to make it so that he had a club foot. He had more of like a physical disability, as opposed to just like, well, I guess maybe it might be, I don't know, because, you know, in the comics, in his movies and stuff, he just like is like a penguin somehow. They don't really, I don't know, I can't say they don't explain, but in the things I've seen, they've never really explained why he looks and has like flipper fins like as a penguin. But in this one, I feel like they made it more rooted in like human biology. So instead of it being just like he's like a penguin, he just like has a big nose and like a club foot, you know, which is a really, like I said, really intentional choice. I think that, you know, it just, to me, he's so like power hungry. He's so like tunnel vision focused on what he feels like is raising his station in life. He's like completely oblivious to the fact of like the way that he's going about it is ultimately not going to work out for him, you know? So I just really like that they actually had Sophia Falcone in this. Gigante. Respect, Gigante. Because to me, I think every show needs girls, but only if the girls get to do badass things like get revenge and wear fur coats and be wild and have big wild hair. Like, that's what we deserve, you know what I'm saying? Like, we deserve to be able to return to wildness and to reclaim our power. And I really love this arc of Sophia's, like, just really stomping out her father's legacy. I knew Johnny Vitti was gonna die. He got really big for his britches after he was already on the brink of death. I was like, sir, the lady doth protest too much. And Sophia ended that real quick, and I was like, exactly. So I would love, you know what I would love to see? I would love for Sophia to approach, what's her name? Is her name Eve? To approach Oz's ex, or like his lady or whatever, his old lady, you know, and take her and her girls under her wing, you know, because Eve is so scared, like, oh, the hangman, now she's seen my girls, she knows what they look like, where they be at, you know, she's gonna be coming for us. But I personally don't think Sophia would actually hurt them. I really don't. I I really don't. I really don't. I really don't. I really don't think that she would hurt them. I think because of what she went through and what was the catalyst for Sophia going to Arkham, I feel like it would be way more in line with her character that she would take them under her wing and make them a part of her retinue. And I could see then Eve being Oz's antagonist, in a sense, being his opposition, because like, you know, Eve just kept saying like, boy, you keep throwing me under the bus, you keep using me, and you supposed to have my back, but you keep trying to use me for these alibis, and you have my girls wrapped up in this, like you trying to get me wrapped up, you trying to move me to Crown Point, yuck, you know. So I just think that it turned out to be a way more complex story than I was anticipating. And I really appreciate that about this show. And that is part of like what's drawing me in. Like the Penguin, so sorry to him, but Sophia's where it's at. Cause speaking of Oz, you know, it's like all you have is one Dominican boy and your mama, and she not even messing with you right now, for real. Like the way he thought he was about to go to the women in his life and get comfort, and they literally had nothing for him. They had nega comfort. They literally tore him down. And I'm not saying like, oh, they just ripped that head. I don't care. He deserved it, because you won't stop and think and make an actual smart move, and you keep endangering the women around you. So really this is payback, because you screwed Sophia over and then you didn't think, and now everybody's like kind of fake caught up in your madness. So, you know, I hate that. Even like Vic, I really wanted Victor to leave, but obviously it's the show, so I figured like he wouldn't. Which is funny. Also, if y'all don't know, when I first saw him, I was like, he looks really familiar. And I remembered he was in Marvel's Runaways. I don't know. Y'all check it out. It might still be on Hulu. You know how they get. They start taking stuff off Hulu, or just off streaming in general. But it was a show called The Marvel Runaways. It was on a couple years ago, and it was about a group of teenagers who, as the title suggests, were runaways, but they had like, I would say some had powers, they had abilities, they had stuff, you know what I mean? Like it was kind of, think of like Teen Titans a little bit, but more rebellious. Like they weren't necessarily sidekicks to anybody. They were literally just kids who, through whatever means, whatever of their lineages, acquire abilities. There was some gay girls in there. We love it. You know, I watched it all the way to the end. It gagged me because I feel like it was one of those shows that, like, you know, it feels like a lot of shows these days, they don't know how to like end in a way. So I can't tell you how it ended, but hey, I stuck it out. I watched it. I was like, it's Marvel, it's teens, it's powers, I'm gonna watch it. But he was the lead in that show. So seeing him and here, I was like, whoa, you know, this is actually like a really good turn for him. And I'm actually quite enjoying his work in it. You know, he has a stutter, which again, like I said, with Oswald and, you know, having a club foot, I you know, the association that is made in the media a lot between disabled people and evil and villainy and all this stuff. I mean, it's ableist, just straight up. Like, there's no inherent suggestion that somebody with a disability is like going to be evil or a criminal, you know, but they do use it as a shorthand to me, and a lot of times to show like these lower stations even, you know, because Vic Victor, he's from Crown Point, which was hit the worst by the flood. So of course, to me, like a Katrina analogy there. You know what I mean? Like the flood waters from the Riddler's explosions literally flooded straight down into Crown Point, literally straight down into Victor's family's home. So it was just like, whoa, this is like a freaking disaster. So, he was already like, they were already like poor in like the worst part of Gotham, which to me feels ridiculous to say. Like, how is that even possible? Like, Gotham, what's the nice part of Gotham? That's my question. Where's the nice part? Because technically Bruce doesn't even live in Gotham. He live on his little outskirts in the manor. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't even live in the city proper. So it's like, I think they set him up, to me, a little typical story, but it's typical because it's like it happens. It would not be able to be a typical story if it wasn't like happening. So I really like his work in this, and I knew he wasn't going to leave, but I was hoping that he would have left, if only because it's like, what are you actually hoping to prove by being with Oz? Maybe you want to prove you're a man, you want to feel like you're getting up somewhere in life, but it's like, if you look around, you'll see he's not really anywhere either. You're back in Crown Point now because of him. Once again, going back to the fact that this whole story is in motion because of Oz. Like, Victor was already trying to steal cars, trying to get money. And so I see for him how being with Oz has shown him a bit of, oh, I could get some money. Oh, I could make a little leg up. Oh, I could get somewhere and achieve something, get what I say, get the respect we deserve. But it's like, now y'all are hiding out in Crown Point in a dilapidated, condemned apartment. He's obviously worried about Squid, who's still stalking around the ruins of Crown Point, which I know is going to come to bear on the story. I'm just not ready. But I just know because Squid looked at him, was like, I'm like, ugh, this is already bad. So, I think it's just a really fascinating show. And it's just really complexly layered. And this episode really drove all of that home for me. Like, Sophia really taking her power. You could really see the change in her demeanor. I love her big like circle eyes. Like, they're so penetrating. Like, you can't, and I feel that like when people are being looked at by her, you can see them squirm and they're uncomfortable, and not just because of like their complicity in her suffering, but in the fact that like she knows, and she knows that they know that she knows, like it's all of these layers of knowing in this really deep penetrative perspective, and they can't like hide from her. But so, and two, therefore, on to the topic of Oswald making impulsive decisions that are not money moves at all. In this episode, let me get that out of the way. No, on the topic of him doing things that is definitely not a money move, hustling backwards, just really being impulsive. He's so emotionally impulsive. Him killing the Maroney wife and son, and especially burning them alive. I think that is just like, I just think that's just so, like, it's disturbing actually to me. Whenever they want to show some burning bodies and this and that, I just really hate to see it, honestly. And I generally can't like look because it's painful. I have a Pisces Mercury. So to me, I immediately feel like I'm astrally thinking about like, these people are on fire, they're burning, their flesh is burning. That's awful, but Oz really doing that, and like watching, he had almost this like glee on his face, or just like, I don't know, it was like so weird. It's like, no, he really enjoyed watching them burn. He wasn't even like, oh well, business is business, sometimes he do stuff and it's, but he really, to me, enjoys what he does in terms of like bringing the terror and like killing people and holding people hostage. Like, he's actually so primed for it. It's actually crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I was really gagged. And then this is what will get me about Oz. Is he'll do all of that. He'll make these moves. He'll hustle backwards to truly hustle backwards. Like, he did all of that, get the mushrooms, drive off. They're dead. They have not been being temperature climate controlled. They're dead. They literally crumbled in his hand. I think that was just such an apt visual metaphor for his life, that everything that really he's touching is turning to crumble dust, like ashes in his hand. Like, no move that he's trying to make happen has like happened successfully. Like, none of them. I think at the end, when they find the subterranean trolley tunnels, is probably the most anything has like worked out for him. Really, like, since the show started, like, it almost worked out for him. Sophia almost trusted him again. Almost. But immediately blew that to like Hades, to smithereens, because now it's like, oh well, you killed her brother, and that's what she's been on about this whole time. So I just felt like, godly, man, like, how did you even survive this long? Because obviously by talking his way out of stuff. But to me, I'm actually surprised that he didn't get caught up sooner in some way, but because the movie, The Batman, to me made such like, it was like watershed moments, it was really raised the stakes in a lot of ways. It's like, yeah, I mean, it was really like a defining moment, like a turning point in the story. So naturally there's this like power vacuum after the events of the movie. So that is why all these other things can be being set in motion. But he always had me shaking my head like, boy, this was not a smart move. This was not even about to like work out the way you think it's about to work out. This is not about to be fetch. This is not about to be cute. None of that. Like, you fuked up. You messed up. Like, and now you're trying to convince yourself and everybody else around you on how to get on the train, and it's actually going to be okay, and this is actually the perfect thing that needed to happen, and this really what you wanted to do, and this really how you wanted it to go. And it's like, no, it's not. You didn't think. You got in your feelings. You made an action. It really impulsive. It has big consequences. Like, no decision, no action of his has even settled before he like skips another rock. He drops a boulder, honestly, into the pond. And now it's more tidal waves. It's like the events of this. I'm really curious to know, like, what kind of narrative arc are they like anticipating for this show or hoping for? Because I mean, the whole Falcone family dead. Gigante starting up, but it's still just her. There's no one else with the name, which is part of what it's about. The Maronis really twisted up in the game, because now it's just Salvatore, and he don't have a wife or son now. He's really too old. He's really, so I'm surprised he's not dead, honestly. Him getting shanked like that, I'm like, you're kind of elder. I'm surprised your body could like handle that. You probably just been in the street so long, so you knew how to get out of that. But anybody else, they would just be messed up, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. That's a really strong word. I am interested to know like what is going to happen as time goes forward, because you know, it's just so many stakes. The stakes is like higher than they've ever been to me. To me, these stakes feel higher than they did in the Batman movie in a lot of ways. Like, maybe of course because it's a show, we spend more extended length of time in this world and with these characters, but the stakes of this like series feels really, really high. And it genuinely has me wondering like where are they gonna go, or like where we conceiving of the story to go after here. This week I would give it a 8 out of 10. Sophia with her hair in her fur coat, taking her mama maiden name, establishing herself as the head of the new family. She said, girl, we over that old stuff. We off that. We on to the next. We on to the best. It's Gigante. So yeah, I don't know. Tell me what you think if y'all have been watching it. You know, who's your favorite character? You know, all that good stuff. But yeah, I will catch you on the next installment of Library Nocturne. I wish you glad tidings. No, it's not Christmas. We're saying glad tidings. And hopefully you will join me next time. Bonne nuit.